Live from MMA Fighting Studios, this is Between the Links. And now, your host, Mike Heck.
The iconic voice, Sylvester Lynn, welcomes you to a brand new edition of BTL. Happy Thursday to us all. Hope you're all having a wonderful week. There's just so much going on this week. We got UFC 320, BKFC 82 going down on Saturday. We got PFL's big event in Dubai tomorrow with the rematch between Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes. There's just so much going on. So we figured with all that, all the changes going on, figured we turn the programming over to you guys. We chat with the MMA fighting community on this episode of Between the Links. And joining me to do just that is Mr. No Gray Area himself, the greatest climber in all the lands, the one and only Jed Bashu. Hello, Jed. How are you?
I'm doing terrific, Mike. Lot going on. Busy fight week. UFC BJJ tonight. PFL tomorrow. Right? That's pretty fancy. And then I think there's a pay-per-view this week, if I'm not mistaken. There's some sort of 2 title fights plus a banger of a feature fight, you know? Oh, and BKFC. So happy to talk about all of it, see what all the peeps have to say.
I see 1 star behind you.
It is a 1 Machulin star card this week, Mike. If I did half stars, I think this would be a 1.5, but we don't because, it's a zero-sum game. It's 1 or none. It's 1 or 2. It's 2 or 3, and I don't quite think this is a 2-star card. It's in Vegas, and sort of the general theme of that is like, if I was in Vegas, I'm definitely going, right? But if I'm in LA, am I going to do the 4-hour drive over to Vegas for this card? I don't think so. I think it's just, if it had one more juicy fight on it, I think this card is not bad at all, certainly from a pay-per-view standpoint, like just watching. And the main card is mostly pretty good. But really, you're looking at 3 marquee fights here, and I think it just needs one more bit of business to get it to that 2-star hump, because I like the main event has grown on me a great deal this fight week, certainly. The co-main event is flying under the radar, but a great fight. And the feature fight, stone cold banger. Like zero notes on the feature fight. And the rest of it is solid, some above replacement level stuff, certainly, but nothing that blows your hair back.
Yeah, it was funny because throughout the build, I was just like, man, UFC 320 is an absolute banger, but maybe it's because Perth was so awful on paper that anything compared to that just looks better. But the 2 title fights are great. Merab and Cory Sandhagen, I cannot friggin' wait for that fight. I really can't.
It's a great fight. But it's not just the coming off Perth thing. Mike, you say this all the time, and it feels, I recorded No Bets Barred yesterday with my good friend Luke Nocita from Morning Combat, and we were chatting about it. And honest to God, I genuinely think one of the big pieces of it is we've had time to miss them. This is our first pay-per-view in 5 weeks. Let me actually look.
Since mid-August, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first pay-per-view since 319, obviously, which was August 16th. So 6 weeks without a pay-per-view event. And, you say it all the time, Mike, you got to give us an opportunity to miss you. And while the UFC never does that because there is an event every week functionally, this has given us an opportunity to miss a big event, right? We had a Noche, they were on the road a good amount, but this feels like the first pay-per-view in a really long time because it is. And so it's more interesting. Like, I'm more excited about it. I wish they would, and we're never going to have this feeling again because we have 3 pay-per-views over the next 6 weeks functionally. They are making up for that lost time. But I do think that that's added a little juice here because it's just been so long since we've had a big fight.
Completely agree. So let's go to the peeps. Like we said, this is your questions, your thoughts, all show long. Super chatters get to go to the top of the line. But before we get to all of the UFC 320 talk, let's talk about Dana White's big announcement. Teased it. We thought we were going to get a whole bunch of fights. I thought we were going to get some 322 fights added. One in particular that we have to wait until they announce, but Joseph Boza asks, because Dana's big announcement were the top 2 fights for UFC Qatar on November 22nd, which is a week after UFC 322. So he says, is there a title shot on the line in the main event between Arman Tsarukyan and Dan Hooker? And is the title shot on the line in the co-main event between Belal Muhammad and Ian Machado Garry? So your thoughts on the title implications in these 2 fights?
I would say certainly in the main event, I think that is pretty likely a title eliminator, though it could get wonky, right? Like the lightweight title picture is a bit kerfluffled at the moment. I just got done transcribing, shout out to Submission Radio. They did Dennis did an interview with Dan Hooker, announcing the fight and his response to it. Dan Hooker, says, hey, I think this is certainly going to be a title eliminator, though he didn't say he was promised anything, but he mentioned something else as part of it, which I do think plays a role here, which is the lightweight title picture is weird right now. We don't know what's going on. Ilia Topuria not been booked. I thought, and it seems to be the case, that they are going to hold Topuria for the Paramount shift. So he won't be fighting until 2026, so they can put some big star power behind some of their first Paramount events. I maintain, and have from day one, that the most obvious way to lead off the Paramount numbered events is Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett. I think that's about the biggest fight they can make. And I don't think this Qatar main event necessarily invalidates that, right? The winner of this Qatar main event should be fighting for the lightweight title next. I don't know whether they will be, because of how the timelines are going to work, right? That would then be a quick turnaround for like a January event, which maybe is what Topuria is going to be doing here. So I don't know if that's your terminology for next. I'm going to say probably not. Could be, but probably it's going to go to either Gaethje or Pimblett to face Topuria for the lightweight belt. But the winner of that fight certainly should be next in line. But what Hooker said, and it's a thing that I think people can forget about, but is true. There are 2 titles at play in this weight class right now. There is the lightweight belt, but there's the BMF belt, and Max Holloway has that. And if Dan Hooker wins, I don't think if Arman wins, he's fighting for the BMF belt. But if Dan Hooker wins and Topuria is, busy with Gaethje or Pimblett, would not surprise me at all if the outcome is Dan Hooker fights Max Holloway for the BMF title. So it is a title shot of sorts, but the lightweight picture is a little bit, there's a lot going on, a lot of balls in the air to kind of keep juggling around. And that is probably just going to end up being a situation where it's like, whatever is easiest, however things break the simplest for us, timing, etc. For the co-main event, it's a one-sided title eliminator. If Belal wins, he's not fighting for the belt next. If Ian Machado Garry wins, he is. Because if Belal wins, they're not going to run back a JDM fight. And I don't think Belal and, Islam will fight each other in those circumstances. So it's just not going to happen. And if Ian Machado Garry wins, he'll fight either of them, and either of them makes sense. And I know that, I don't think we can talk about another fight that seems to be happening. But there are some other contenders at play, and things are moving quickly at welterweight. And so I have no idea where Shavkat Rakhmonov fits into this. I have no idea where Sean Brady fits into this. Kamal Usman theoretically is in the mix as well. Ian Machado Garry, if he beats Belal Muhammad, should and probably will be fighting for the belt next. That is my guess.
So I think you're exactly right about the Dan Hooker situation. I think if he wins, he does not get Topuria, but he probably does get Max, which is pretty damn good. That's a main event, more than likely, and that's just a banger of a fight. My thoughts once Dana announced this, and I had heard that this was an option, and I know from talking to Tsarukyan's team that they were holding out hope that they would get the title fight. My initial thought was, man, the UFC and Ilia Topuria have potentially pulled off quite the coup here. Because if Arman Tsarukyan wins, I will be stunned if Hunter Campbell does not immediately go backstage in Qatar and say, hey, you wanted your title shot. Now you got it in January, take it or leave it. And it's going to be up to Tsarukyan to decide whether or not he's going to be next. He can say no, and then they'll just go to either Patty or Gaethje, who the UFC has probably already told, hey, stay ready, prepare for this. You may just get it. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at right here, because if you are Ilia Topuria right now, if you're going to fight Arman Tsarukyan, get him coming off of a main event and on pretty short notice on a quick turnaround, it's probably the best thing you can possibly do. So I do think if Arman wins, they're going to go to him first and say like, hey, you're the guy, but we're doing it in January. So you get 7 weeks. Are you in or are you out? And if Arman says, nah, I need more time, they'll be like, all right, bet. Patty, you're up. You have to fight Justin Gaethje now or fight somebody else. I think that's what they're thinking right now, honestly. And then, God, the welterweight one is super interesting. It's not going to be Belal either way. I just don't know if it's Garry. If JDM wins, it will 100% be Garry. If Islam wins, he's going to fight Kamaru Usman, and it's going to anger me to no end that that's the fight that's going to happen. But that is absolutely the fight that's going to happen. That's what Islam's going to call for, and they're just going to give it to him because of the legacy. I don't have
a lot of confidence in that.
I think that's what's going to happen. Their management.
I think if Islam wins, there's a better chance that it's Shavkat than it is.
Really?
Yeah. Because Islam's not in the money game. He's really just never been in the
Yeah, and Usman's not a money fight, but it's like the best legacy resume fight for him that's available. Even though I hate
it's not though, because he's old and like Islam has just never carried it that way. Neither did Habib. Like I honest to God think that the answer if Islam wins is either he's gonna walk, which he should do. If he wins, he should just walk, like straight up. Put him down, leave. You can do nothing better unless the UFC will magically let you fight for the middleweight title, which he shouldn't do. He shouldn't be allowed to do, and he would lose. But like, if they're going to let you do that, then okay, you take the crack at it. But if they're not, he should walk. But based on just how Islam and Habib have carried their entire careers, like when Islam won the belt, he was like, let me fight Alexander Volkanovski. Dude's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Let me fight him. I'll kick his ass. I think it'll be the same thing. It'll be like, look, people forgot. Shavkat Rakhmonov's never lost a fight. He beat Ian Machado Garry, who just beat Belal. He is the boogeyman of this weight class. I'm going to beat his ass. You know, I got nothing but respect for him. That is the fight that no one, wants to take or whatever. I think that Shavkat's only chance to fight for the belt in his next fight is that. And even then, I'm still not sure it's likely. Welterweight is so fuddled up right now. Throw a dart, man. It could be anybody fighting for the belt next. And it could be 2 people because there's a really decent chance Makhachev walks away if he beats Jack Della.
Yeah. And this is pretty much my question. Where's Kamaru Usman? Usman Belal was right there. Are we going to get Usman Brady? I don't think we're going to get Usman Brady. Usman Shavkat would be really interesting because if Usman fights Shavkat and beats him, I mean, give him the title fight. Like, I'm totally okay with that.
I think both of those men need to call for that fight because they probably don't get to fight for the belt by sitting out. Like there's too many people active at welterweight right now. And so, it is unfair to Shavkat Rakhmonov, who has earned his title fight. Like he deserves it. He had it. Belal pulled out, and instead of waiting, he did the thing for the company. He, fought Ian Machado Garry on short notice and beat him, and then he got hurt, and so fortune has not favored him. It is so unlikely that anybody waiting is going to get a fight because of just there are too many dudes in play and other guys are fighting. So if I'm Usman's manager, if I'm Shavkat's manager, I fight each other. Because the winner at that fight is front of the line. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. The winner of that fight is absolutely next in line over anybody else. So if I'm them, that's what I'm trying to do. But welterweight is really hard to predict right now. Too many variables.
Yeah, it's gotten real interesting over the last year and a half. No doubt about it. Speaking of stakes in fights, but in a different way, UFC 320, a preliminary bout here. Where does Patchy go if he loses to Jakob Wiklax? I got to tell you, Jed, outside of the 2 title fights, I don't think there's more pressure on a single fighter on this card than Patchy Mix. I think he is in such a must-win situation here, and the way they matched him up tells me everything I need to know about how the UFC views him right now. I think he is maybe the 5th most pressured fighter at UFC 320.
I don't think that's true at all. I think he's number 1 or maybe number 2.
Oh, I love
Like,
that.
Merab ain't got no pressure, right? Like Merab wants to win, certainly, and he needs to win, and he is expected to win. But, if Merab loses, he's not that far away from fighting for the belt again. It's fine. It's not great. It puts a dent in his GOAT case for the bantamweight weight class, but it's fine. Cory Sandhagen has a lot of pressure because he's probably never getting here again, right? And so, I'm open to the idea that Cory Sandhagen has more pressure on him than Patchy Mix this weekend, because this is it. It's all or nothing, right? This is one hit, in the words of Eminem, his one opportunity. He's got to take it. But Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira are both, champions / former champions. And with Pereira not even long for light heavyweight, Ankalaev's not far away from fighting for the belt again. If he loses, if Pereira loses, he just goes to heavyweight. Who cares? There's just I don't think anyone in the 2 title fights other than Cory Sandhagen has a really immense amount of pressure. And Patchy Mix's career is on the line. It feels ridiculous to say that about a dude in his 2nd fight in the UFC. It is absolutely true. If Patchy Mix laid an egg against Wario Batista, he only got one of his names back. He didn't get 2 of them. He laid an egg against Wario Batista, and that was really bad. But sometimes that does happen, right? We've seen fighters not have the best UFC debuts, even longtime veterans. He is now getting a tricky, I don't know if I'll call him difficult, but certainly a tricky opponent who is not well known, but is talented. He's KSW champion. But nobody knows
too.
Yeah, he's super fun. He's a tricky grappler and a fun fighter, but nobody knows him. He is a sizable favorite to win this fight. And if he lays another egg, it's curtains. He ain't Eddie Alvarez. He's Will Brooks. And God love Will Brooks, who I believe has deserved another opportunity at the UFC for years, and seems that it's just not in the cards for him. And was a good fighter, in his own right. Nobody wants to be Will Brooks. That is just, you don't want to be that guy. And Patchy is right on the cusp of it. Outside of Cory Sandhagen, I do not think there's a fighter this weekend who has more pressure on him to perform.
What if Ankalaev loses, though? You don't think there's a lot on the line for him? Because I don't think, but
Alex is going to leave the weight class soon. He'll fight for the belt within 2 years.
Within 2 years, that's a long time at 205.
I mean, no, at 205, it's not. The fucking
2 years.
Jan is still in title contention. At light heavyweight, nobody's out of the title thing. So it's just it's not good. Losing isn't good for anybody, and it's obviously worse for champions. But his career isn't over. If Patchy loses, his career's done. It's curtains for him. And so Cory is the only person who is in a similar boat, and Cory can still have a good career because Cory has probably a long career left in front of him if he wants it. But his title aspirations are done if he loses to Merab, and that's unfortunate, but it is true. Patchy arguably has more to lose, but I'll defer to Cory's title aspirations dying. But one of those 2 are the 2 dudes with the most pressure. The rest of it is a teardrop below, certainly.
Yeah, normally I don't truly care about card placement, but this fight being so low on the card, is pretty wild. Was this the feature? Is this the featured early prelim fight?
No, because the feature is the Yana Santos.
Okay, is this before that?
This is the fight immediately before that.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
The early prelims have way better fighters than the middle prelims as far as ranking goes.
Wow, that's wild. I knew it was low, but
shout out to our former colleague E. Casey Leiden, because I'm sure he would have some thoughts as we talk about card placement. And they've made some choices this week, certainly.
Yeah. Atiba Gauthier in the featured prelim still against newcomer Treston Vines.
I still need to. They have yet to drop odds. I haven't looked in the last couple of hours, but I need odds on that fight.
I'm sure minus 1,500.
I honestly think it might be close to minus 2,000, which is insane because like Ozzy Diaz is functionally the same dude, and he was only minus $1,000. But I need to know because I don't have a climb bet yet, because like I'm waiting to see what the KO prop for Ateba is. Because if it's 500, if it's in the neighborhood of 500, I'm taking that as the climb. And if it's not, then I guess we're going Merab because that's the one I feel the next best about. I know you have thoughts on that, but that's where I'd be at.
I do. I really do.
Actually, the one I would feel the next best good about, but I'm not going to do, is the over 2.5 in the curtain jerker, Veronica Hardy Brogan Walker, but like it's like minus 500 or like 550 or something. And both women basically exclusively go to decision. Brogan Walker's been to a decision like 10 of 11 fights or some shit like that. But I'm not going to do that. It's the first fight of the night. Also, Brogan Walker's coming off a 30-month layoff. You should not bet on fights involving people coming off that long a layoff.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So yeah, definitely some interesting storylines, but Patchy, Jesus Christ.
Patchy is,
he
got to do it. He's got to deliver
the spot. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, I think he can, right? I like Jakob Wicklitz. I think he deserves to be in the UFC. I think he's going to be a fun guy. This is a low hanging fruit comp because they're Polish. Right. And so it's just like, you just picked the other Polish fighter. But, and I actually think my memory serves, Marcin Held was also a KSW champion, but he has real Marcin Held vibes of like tricky, fun grappler, pretty limited striker, not a lot of defense. So like, I think Patchy can win the grappling if they go there, and should win the striking as long as they are striking. So like he should win, but man, it was such a bad performance against Batista, and there's so much pressure on him. He has got to show that he can do it.
I feel just by looking at it and just going back and watching past fights, which I've done a lot of, it's been very fun watching some of these guys go through some of their old fights. I feel like if Patchy wins, it's going to be not fun. But if Wicklitz wins, it's going to be really fun, if that makes sense. Like Patchy's workman, like not quite what Tatiana Suarez did, where she didn't throw like any punches at all. I think Patchy will do a little bit more, but I kind of feel like Patchy just needs to win here, and it doesn't matter what it looks like.
I think it's going to be fun. I think Patchy should win at all costs. I have, spoiler alert for those who haven't checked out No Bets Barred, I have a little slight play that I put on Patchy by KO at plus 850. Because Wicklitz has really bad defense, and that can be a ground and pound stoppage too. My hope, and this could be wish casting, is that Patchy shows who he really is this fight. At the first fight, he took it on sort of short notice. He wasn't really prepared as well. Mauro Batista is a good fighter, even if he is my mortal enemy. And so that was like, it was a tough matchup on short notice, not optimal circumstances, much better situation. I think Patchy is going to deliver, but I am not confident in that.
It's a big one. Looking forward to it. Back to Joseph. What are their thoughts on Frankie Edgar being pulled from BKFC 82? I gotta tell you, Jed, I was fucking livid last night when this came out, and it's not because we're not going to watch Frankie Edgar fight. It's the fact that this happened in the first place. We all knew that this is a bad idea, that this is a mistake, even throwing him in there with Jimmy Rivera, who isn't like the biggest power puncher in the world. But at the same token, we had a feeling that him getting pulled might be something that happens, that the New Jersey Commission may not let this man fight. And to drag this fucking thing out until 3 days before the fight, before we announced they're pulling him, already having an opponent in the back burner for Jimmy Rivera, this is just so frustrating. Like, this is the kind of shit, and I like BKFC a lot, and I put them over a bunch, but this is the kind of stuff that just frustrates me about them, because this is literally like not one person besides Frankie Edgar and maybe like some of his friends were like, yeah, this is a great idea. And then 72 hours before the card, he's pulled. Like, it's so annoying. like even to get this man's hopes up that he's going to fight, even though he shouldn't be fighting anyways. It's so frustrating.
I was mostly just happy, honestly. Like, I get everything you're saying. I think that it's fair. I'm happy that the right outcome was achieved, even if it maybe the process wasn't good. Especially on the heels of what just happened to Vanderlei, right? Like,
Yeah.
Frankie Edgar doesn't need to be fighting, and I know that he wants to keep fighting. Don't just don't. Like, I don't. I know that it is hard to let the sport go, and I don't know if this is a he needs money thing, and that's why he's wanting to do that. But like, and based on his conversations, his talk, it seems like it was mostly they're coming to New Jersey. I'd like to try it sort of thing, and he can't quite let it go. But you don't need to do it. And if they were going to do it, Jimmy Rivera is about as good an opponent as you could hope for. He's not a guy who's known for head trauma, but it's still head trauma. And just don't, like, you gotta walk away, right? This isn't tennis where you can go and, futz around at the local club. And maybe the worst thing that's going to happen is a blown Achilles, right? Like, you are trading in brain cells for not the most amount of money, frankly. And so, particularly on the heels of Vanderlei's travesty, I was mostly just happy that this got canceled because he shouldn't be fighting. And, I would tell Frankie that, and he could, look me in the eyes and tell me to fuck off. I can't tell him how to live his life. And that's true. But apparently the commission can, and I'm all right with that.
Yeah. Apparently Lazy Bit is hearing some other things, but we have not heard those things. So perhaps we need to look into it, that it's not a medical issue. It's a contractual dispute. I don't know.
Well,
either way, he's not fighting, and Jimmy can fight. He can still fight in Jersey. He's a Jersey guy as well. So, or no, he's a New York guy. But either way, tri-state area, almost a hometown fight for him. So, yeah. People are, Baldy better not say Cory beats Merab. I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say Cory's. I'm betting on Cory to win. I do have a bet on Cory plus 310. I'm taking a shot here. I do think this fight is more competitive than people think it is. So this might be the worst bet I've ever placed in the watch party, and that's totally fine. I will put the right hand up if I'm wrong, but man, I think Cory's gonna be super competitive. I think it's gonna be a wicked tight fight. I really do.
I've said this in a couple of occasions now, and I'll say it again. I think this is the first time I've said it on our YouTube channel. I believe this is going to be the classic Cory Sandhagen fight where he exceeds expectations. He's very competitive. He proves he's one of the best in the world, and he proves he's not the best in the world by losing to one of the best in the world. This is like, it is, that feels like it is a dig at Cory Sandhagen, and I promise you it is not. I have a great amount of respect for him. This is the like, we've had a lot of fighters lately having classic fights. Jake Matthews, classic loss to Neil Magny. Neil Magny, classic win over Jake Matthews. Cory Sandhagen, this is about to be a classic Cory Sandhagen fight where it's like, okay, you fight the Rob Fonts of the world, curtains. Chito Vera, whoop him. Oh no, you fight Petr Yan, you look pretty solid in defeat. Song Yadong, got him. Figgy Smalls, dunzo. Umar Nurmagomedov, you look pretty good in defeat. Like, that's it. Like, that is the story of his life, right? The TJ Dillashaw. So many people thought he won that fight at the time. I didn't. I think on rewatch, it could go either way. He just has a track record of beating the A level guys, like the A- fighters, and losing competitively to the A+ level fighters. He is the exact line of an A level fighter. He ain't A- and he ain't A+. He's just an A. And Merab is obviously an A+ fighter. I think Cory will have moments. I think Cory will look good. I think Cory will ultimately get Merabed. And we will leave that fight being like, man, that's a really good win for Merab. And hey, Cory Sandhagen, sort of destined to be one of those guys who people who are in the know, they know, right? Like they know that dude could compete, but just he's, not going to be remembered generations to come because he's never going to get the big one.
I'm quite intrigued by that fight. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's gonna be some high level stuff. Cory's confidence is really fascinating to me.
He's been great in the whole build up to this fight.
Yeah, one of my favorite interviews of this year was the 15 or so minutes I had with Cory, and he is just loose as a goose, just uber confident, and I like that. You don't hear. Confidence speaks to me a little bit, but then actually going back and watching fights and hearing what he had to say, I'm like, yeah, you have some points, but Merab is just a different beast, man. Like, I know you haven't gotten tired in 5-round fights before, even the short notice ones, but this is fucking Merab, man. This is a whole different ball game. Yeah. But let's see if Cory can stay on his feet, man. Let's see if that happens, and if so, if this ends up being a striking battle. Merab goes out there and outstrikes Cory Sandhagen for 5 rounds. That would just be sick. Just absolutely insane.
I mean, it'd be cool. I will believe someone will do that to Merab when I see someone do that to Merab and not a moment before. Because Umar Nurmagomedov had a much better opportunity to defeat Merab than Cory did, and he didn't pull it off. I'll tell you what, though. I love that Cory has completely come out of his shell in the past 18 months. And just he's like Dom Cruz, only funny. Whereas Dom Cruz was always kind of was funny in a mean way, right? Because his life is lived with a chip on his shoulder. And so he would have biting or scathing remarks. Dom Cruz, underrated, great trash talker. Cory Sandhagen is not mean, but he is funny. And yesterday at media day, somebody was asked him hey, who do you, of all the fighters, who would you want to be your roommate? And he's just who would you least want to be roommates with? He's probably Merab. He just has too many women. And I was just that's fucking hysterical. It's such a good line, especially after Merab's pseudo chauvinistic fucking podcast run that he's been on lately. Cory's super funny, and I think Cory's a guy who, like I said, it's never going to win the big one. I hope I'm wrong. It would be terrific if he won, but I think that Cory is a guy who has a little bit of Forrest Griffin dry humor to him, and might be a really good coach one day if he doesn't, because I don't think they'll ever give him an opportunity in the analyst booth or the desk. His personality is maybe a little too glib for that, but he is probably going to be a really good coach one day, and then he can hang around the sport and be awesome.
God, he's so funny, man. He is hilarious. Great fight. I'm very much looking forward to it. Where are you at on Ramiz Brahimaj versus Mr. PVZ, aka Austin Vanderford? Chad and Mike.
I got to tell you, of all the fights I thought we might talk about, this sure wasn't one of them. This is a fight that's happening.
It sure is. I think the winner I think this is for the Neil Magny sweepstakes, Jed.
Wow. I mean, that's a nice step up for them. My guess is Vanderford wins via wrestling because Brahimaj is not a very good defensive wrestler, but I have minimal thought. This is, honest to God, probably the fight I care about the least on this whole card other than Hardy Walker.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, everything else has a real hook to it, or some level of a hook to it, right? Santos, Jusong Yu is I don't know. Jusong Yu might be good, or he might have just fought Jekasaragi. I don't know. I have no idea. Because Jekasaragi is the worst dude on roster if he's still on roster. But he killed him in 4 seconds or whatever the hell that was. So he might be dope. And Daniel Santos is pretty fun, at least. Chase and Yana Santos, that fight's probably going to be a misery, but it's top 10 bantamweights. So that matters. Puna Veretinikov. Puna has looked incredible at welterweight. Of all the fights to care about, I am absolutely baffled that this is one that's drawn interest, but good for you to like it.
Hey, listen, our fan base, we
Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to yuck on yours. This is just, I would have never thought we'd be talking about that fight.
This is one of my questions too. Why is PFL on ESPN Unlimited? Truly have no idea. This should have been a plus. This should have been a plus card.
My guess is that's an ESPN decision, not a PFL.
Oh, I'm
decision.
sure it is. I'm sure it is. But maybe that just goes.
ESPN is just trying to push some level. Honest to God, the actual answer is that ESPN has this new unlimited thing, and they're trying to push content to it. They can't push their real content to it because that won't have been in the that won't be what is contractually negotiated for, their Premier League offerings and their F1 stuff. Like that'll come at some point in time. But like right now they're rolling out this new thing. What can we put in the stew? What are the ingredients lying around in the fridge to make this sort of pot of stuff? And we throw PFL. They don't care. We'll just put them in. So that's almost certainly why it is there.
Yeah. I mean, it's $30 to watch this card. A early day Friday card, which is like, look, Paul Hughes Usman 2 is a great fight. I just don't know if anyone's going to watch it. I don't know. We'll see. What else we got? Yeah, I kind of agree.
I am going to, in fact, miss most of this PFL card, which I'm kind of bummed about.
Why is that?
I'm doing morning combat tomorrow. So the pregame preview is recording right when the card starts. And then I'll be flying back to Atlanta so we can do our watch party. So I might be able to pull it on my phone for some of it. We'll see kind of how travel works. But I do think it's better to do this on Friday than it is to do it on Saturday and go head to head with 320. Shout out to David Feldman, who I think this was on Ariel's show, where he's like, I didn't realize we were going to be going head to head with UFC 320. We booked this date before then, and then 320 happened. I wish we weren't going head to head with him. It is hard to do. Like, he was very honest about competing against the UFC, even with his product. PFL is rarely that honest about that ever. And so I do think it is better that they aren't going on Saturday, but Friday midday is just not optimal timing for anything. Again, one of the biggest blockers to PFL in my mind, and maybe they could show me some data that says I'm wrong. I would encourage it. Don Davis, that other dude who started tweeting recently, whose name I don't remember right now.
John Martin,
Ray Sefo. I know you guys watch. I know you basically listen to everything I say and then do it, which is great. You should put me on payroll. But I genuinely believe one of the single biggest blockers to your growth and success is, I guess it's an either or situation. Either you need to own a day. The UFC is Saturday. UFC events happen on Saturdays. That's when UFC fights happen. They happen on Saturdays. And they don't put events on Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays. They put events on Saturdays because that's when fights happen. The PFL does not ascribe to that, and they do them on Thursdays and Fridays and Saturdays. And I don't know, whenever the shit they can get them in. And it makes it hard to be a consistent follower of the product when there is not it's Friday night, let me see what PFL is on, right? Like they need to own Fridays in the same way Saturdays are on. They can't own Saturdays, that's over. Take Fridays over, it's the best bet you got. Or, good God, you have got to get a marketing department that does its job. I do not know what you pay those people. It is far too much, because this is the best fight you can put on. Literally the best that their promotion can do is this Friday. And most people who watch our programming, who are deep, hardcore MMA fans, don't know what's happening, because it's happening at jack fuck time on a Friday, and there has not been a good level of promotion to it. You got to do one or the other. At least you should probably do both, but it is hard to be a PFL fan such that they exist, because you have to be so proactive to be one of those. And that is not what any sports league, industry, etc. wants. You do not want your fan base to have to be proactive. You want it to be reactive, right? Like the UFC is not asking fans to search it out and figure out about it. it is ubiquitous, and they are not doing things to set themselves up for that. And Friday is yet another example of it. It's a really good fight card. I am genuinely interested. They're not going to catch any random MMA-ish fans because they have just not built this for success.
It's tough. People will be paying attention, which you can on MMAfighting.com. It's a great website. We will
honestly great for us because frankly, more people are probably going to come to us to find out what happened after the fact than they are going to watch it live.
For sure. 100%. By the way, I know there are people hitting me up on Instagram about the watch party and stuff. With Casey gone, please tell me there's going to be a round clock for the watch party. I'm happy to tell you there will be a round clock. So I've been playing around with the other thing and playing around with the round clock. Did a little test stream yesterday, and it's going to work. So round clock will be back better than ever on Saturday. So do not worry about that. Lazy bit. Brian Battle's tour of the DBX Cannery continues October 30th. Same card as Gable Stevenson. Does he ever find himself back in the UFC? Well, he's with PFL too. So not anytime soon, but I don't think the UFC, again, and I say this about everybody. I say this about Conor McGregor. I say it about John Jones. The UFC doesn't need anybody. They certainly don't need Brian Battle. So maybe, but probably not. Because he's probably going to make more money with PFL and DBX and all these other companies than he was making with the UFC anyway. So make that money, son.
Yeah. I have no notes. That's exactly right.
But we'll go with this quote. Ramazan Temirov suspended 1 year for testing positive for PEDs. So might as well just put a big fat 0 on my flyweight spot on the fantasy roster since he is out. Does Charles Johnson have a shot at having his loss overturned? I don't know when the test.
Hold on, let me go look that up. We have that?
Because he was booked, was he not? That's why I picked him.
Hold on, I'm pulling that up from us because I don't know the answer to this. I saw that this happened. I know that we wrote on it, but I did not read whatever was written on it. So let's take a look at what is going on here with old Rami Timms. I don't think that worked, but I was just trying, just seeing what might stick.
And thank you for Master Universe Classic. Yes, vote for us for the World MMA
What
Award.
the shit is this?
And our own Damon Martin.
I'm trying to find this now. That went out 10 minutes ago on our site. That's why I can't find it. Tested positive for trimetazine, a drug used to treat heart failure and other cardiac conditions, class of hormone metabolic modulators. Present in samples collected out of competition in June and July. So the short answer to this question is no.
Nope, he does not.
Because that fight was in March, correct?
Yes.
So, he's not going to get that overturned then.
Temirov was booked with somebody else. This is why I drafted him.
Yeah. And I mean, in general, that's how you should anticipate those things happening because it'll either be in competition. And so then actually, I honestly think the only way it is get overturned are for in competitions because unless it's like the super weird Brock Lesnar situation where the UFC, I can't say what they did actually, because that could open us up to problems. But Brock failed tests before the fight and somehow fought anyway. That mostly won't happen. So it'll either be in competition, in which case you then get sussied, and that sussy then, creates a no contest, or out of competitions aren't going to be associated with a fight. And so then he won't be. This is out of competition. He's fine.
Yeah.
But you did, in fact, get a big fat goose egg on your boy.
For Christ's sake.
It's a shame.
I know.
Real shame.
It is a real shame because
what's great doing this league is how many people get zeros, because there ends up being a lot of them because predicting 6 months is just impossible.
Yeah. I probably officially lost Ilya Taporia. Maybe Kayla. I don't know.
Really likely that Taporia is not going to be putting, or Evloev are going to be scoring for you.
So
you do have Big Onk fighting this weekend, though.
Yeah, I do. That's right. I do.
And Ateba might carry
Taba's going to be the
you.
biggest point scorer of the entire season.
Ateba is going to keep carrying you through, despite the fact you might have 4 people who don't fight.
Yes. He might be one of my keepers for next season because they're just going to keep setting him up for nukes. Jed, you're a gambling guru. Is Josh Emmett really deserving of a plus 340 against Yusuf Salal?
He is not. I think that price is quite large. I talked about it on No Bets Bar this week. I'm not betting Josh Emmett because Josh Emmett is 40. And that is an old man, especially at bantamweight. Despite the fact that he's only lost to the elite of the elite and he still looked fairly good, it is just hard to bet on a 40-year-old no matter the price, right? And so, but to me, it is absolutely a dog or pass situation, in part because I just don't believe he should be that big a dog. And I do think that there is some leftover. I don't know that I believe in Yusuf Zalal because the way Yusuf Zalal, I know that he fought good competition when he got drummed out of the UFC the first time around, but that still kind of sticks in my head a little bit. And then while his current run is impressive, I believe it's a 7-fight win streak right now. You look at the names and it's like, well, how impressive is that, right? Like, God love Billy Q on the back end of his career anyway, and was never like elite. Jack Shore, arguably the best win, and I say arguably because sure, he beat Calvin Kattar. He was the 4th of Calvin Kattar's current 5-loss streak, right? So like, how much stock do you put in a dude like his on paper best win is beating a guy who is in the midst of a 5-fight losing streak and not at the beginning of that. He's at the end of it. And so it is hard to judge how good Yusuf Zalal really is. That being said, I don't have it in front of me anymore. There's the stats of like younger fighters beating older fighters when the age gap is like 5 years is pretty significant. I can only imagine what the stat is of dudes who are 11 years younger than their competition. It's got to be like 90% in favor of the young guy. So I think Yusuf Zalal should be favored. I guess he's probably going to win. It does feel like a huge line here, but I'm not confident enough in Emmett to play it. I have stayed away, but if you want to, total dog or pass fight for me.
Yusuf Zalal says that if he goes out and finishes Josh Emmett, he is in discussion to fight for the belt next. Like he could jump Lerone. He's very incorrect. I like Yusuf too.
I love nice the guy. Confidence with which he fired that take out, but boy, howdy was that a take.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, if he goes out,
Josh Emmett is currently ranked number 8 in the UFC's rankings. I don't believe he'll be next.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Lerone Murphy might be next after knocking out an unranked guy.
He's at least number 4, Well,
he is now.
Yeah, but Zalal's not getting it. Zalal might be getting Jean Silva, right? And that could put him in good position.
That's very possible.
But
that's kind of the fight I think he should have called for. But yeah, Emmett's okay. Emmett feels like disrespected by the fight. He's like, yeah, why am I fighting this guy? Wanted a bigger name. He even said like I was willing to go to 55 to fight somebody a little more thrilling.
I like the idea of Josh Emmett doing that because I do kind of think that that's where his career should be, is just doing fun fights. I do think it's quite weird that he thinks that he feels disrespected. It's like, bro, you've lost 3 of your last 4 fights and the guy is 1 spot behind you in the rankings. This is just standard business. Like, this is how the game is played. So like, you're not being disrespected. You've lost a lot lately. And you're not even being asked to fight way back. The guy right behind you. But at some point you do have to defend position. And this is what this is.
Speaking of our fantasy league, who has the most to lose in regards to our fantasy league this weekend?
I mean, you probably.
Me, yeah.
I haven't actually looked at it. So Gee's got Yeri and that's it. I have nobody competing this weekend, but I'm going to throw 2 goose eggs up. Apparently, I've already thrown a few up, but I'm going to throw a couple more because I'm not sure half my dudes are fighting. Damon has Damon has Merab. So that's pretty good for Damon. You have Big Onk Time and and Ateba as at the aforementioned. So you've got 2 in play. Casey, RIP.
Can we just pick
He's
his scraps
not
since he's out of
but
he's out of here?
no. We'll allow him to think.
we-
Also, half of Casey's
Can I take
team,
his flyweight? Who's his flyweight?
his flyweight is Manel Kopp.
Can I have
who
Manel
probably isn't fighting either. Honestly, most of Casey's team probably is not fighting. Is he booked?
He's fighting Brandon Royval, is he not?
I didn't know if that was booked again for the 18th time. Maybe I just blocked it out of my mind. And then AK has Cory Sandhagen competing. So you have the most to gain and by definition, the most to lose as well.
Yes, they will be the final. Manel Kopp and Brandon Royval, I believe, will be the final fight of 2025 for the UFC.
Sure. Yeah. I'll bet on that. I'll definitely hold my breath that those 2 dudes are going to make it to the cage together. That's a safe bet that those 2 guys are going to fight each other. Nothing's ever gone wrong when they've been booked before.
Well, I mean, with that
modern day Habib Tony.
With that mentality,
It's just which one's pulling out. Which one's pulling out? That's the question.
Well, I mean, if I'm getting a 0 anyways, I think I should be able to get Manel Kopp. Not gonna happen. Okay.
No, Casey's still in play.
All right, we love Casey. Any updates
can't have him win?
Yeah, God.
I don't think he's going to, so it's okay.
Not this time. He doesn't have Merab fighting 18 times for him. Have they heard any updates on Jake Matthews' plan for filing an appeal? I saw the fight versus Neil Magny. He has a good case to get it overturned.
He super does not.
I mean, he's not going to get the win. So, I mean, anyone who thinks that's going to happen is just wrong.
He's just not going to get it overturned.
Yeah. Absolute best case scenario, he gets a no contest, but I don't even think that's going to happen. So,
yeah, if I was in Jake's corner or his team, I understand it. I would have encouraged him not to do this. It is a use of time and energy and resources that has a very extremely low chance of success. And truly, to what end? Like, getting that overturned is just a change on your resume. It won't really change your pay structure. It's not going to do anything. And I think that there is a less than 1% chance that this gets overturned. If the circumstances were different, maybe you'd have a case, right? And by the letter of the law, it is not right. Not even sure it's wrong, because the stoppage literally, like, the referee intervened at the 4:59 mark, right, of the thing, and he wasn't out. I think they're just going to be like, hey man, it's fine. You then went and won the second round. Like, you were back in the fight, fully committed. You shouldn't have deserved to win the fight. A goof happened, but it wasn't substantive, right? Like, an additional second was not putting Neil Magny out. You were winning the fight and you turfed it at the end. That's on you, bro. So maybe I'm wrong and they'll get it overturned. There is a technical case for it. I will be real surprised if they do, given the circumstances. If it was in the middle of the round, sure. Like, maybe there's a real, thing there. Don't think it's happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to overturn. Are they really going to pass over Murphy for a Lopez rematch for Volk?
Not a chance.
God, I hope not.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
There's a 0% chance. Like, Murphy won't. The only way it happens is if Murphy is hurt, and then that's not getting passed over. He's hurt. There's no chance. I think Jake Matthews has a better chance of getting that overturned than Diego Lopez does a fight for the belt next.
Diego Lopez can fight Aljamain Sterling. There's plenty of heat there between him.
Or fight Yair Rodriguez.
Teams. Yeah.
Either of those make total sense. Or fuck it, Movsar. Literally any other person besides Volk makes sense for Diego Lopez.
Yeah. I mean, really, in reality, Movsar should get the title shot, but it doesn't appear.
You should. We'll see if it happens. I think there's a chance, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Where is it? Is the concept of Josh Emmett trading with TJ Dillashaw peculiar to anyone else? I keep seeing these videos and I'm just like, how did that happen? So I don't know if peculiar is the right word. I'm just like, how? Interesting.
I don't think it's peculiar. Honestly, my impression when I look at that is like, holy shit, TJ is huge. Because
Yeah.
TJ is substantially bigger than Josh Emmett in all of the stuff when they're standing next to each other. I don't know, God bless him. I don't know if he's on the gear now that he's retired or not, but that is a big fella. Like the fact that he ever contemplated and did make, albeit via cheating, 125 is nuts. Because and it's the thing is, he was never like a huge bantamweight either. Like his whole thing was that he wasn't that big, and looks like a pile of cobblestone stacked on top of each other, man. He is enormous. Looks like Aaron Pico in that bitch. So that is the honest to God, the thought I had looking. I was like, wow, you're a big guy now. You put on muscle mass.
Yes, lots of it. Iser Planet at Super Chat. Who is the most exciting prospect no one talks about?
I don't know. I feel like I talk about
Carly
the
Judice?
prospects I'm excited about. I mean, I talk about her constantly, so I don't know if other people talk about
You
her.
might be the only one though.
But I have been standing on business for Carly Judice for day one. And like the thing is, most people are talking about exciting prospects. So maybe Carly Judice is a good one because she's like functionally a 500 fighter and her UFC career started. And like the other exciting prospects are like, everybody talks about Malcolm Wallmaker because it's exciting. Like Ateba Gautier is exciting. People are talking about Daniel Pinas for his name, but also watch out, that kid bangs. Like that kid a lot.
It was probably, honestly, it was probably Ramazan, but now they're talking about him because he failed a freaking drug test.
I'll say sure that Judice is not a bad answer in that, right? Because like she is exciting and probably gets the least shine of people as I'm thinking about like who are real good prospects, and Judice is a good one. So I like that answer. But I'll talk about it forever because she is Dakota Ditch of a light. She rocks.
Yeah, she's very, very fun.
Trade Ankalaev for Ditcheva tomorrow. I don't care if he wins the belt or not. And let's do Ditcheva versus Judice in 2027. Hell yeah.
That whole thing's pretty funny. Dean Thomas got takes and he stands by him, Jed. You got to love that. You got to respect.
I did submission radio with Dean Thomas this past Sunday. And he was like, just so we're clear, that take is 2 years old, but I still stand on it. I was like, that's how you take. That is how, as one take artist to another, that's how you do a take. Never walk it back.
The mark over the A is Jaime?
I'm going to guess that's Jaime, yeah.
Ankalaev finishes Poetan this time. Mark my words.
I agree.
Oh, really?
Maybe not, but I kind of agree. So here's what I've talked myself into, Mike. I don't know who's going to win this. And I wrote my preview column for this. I think it's coming out today. Maybe it's coming out tomorrow. I was not super into this fight. I have grown more interested in this fight as the fight week has gone on because there are a lot of variables. It's just interesting fight. I still don't think the fight makes sense. I don't think they should have done it because I think Pereira should just go to heavyweight. But on the merits, I'm fascinated by this fight. And I truly don't know what to make of it because there's so many stories that came out of the first one. Well, was Alex Pereira overtrained? Was he fighting too much? Alex said he was 30%. He was injured, right? Like all of that. Did he maybe look past Magomed Ankalaev? Ankalaev was prepping for Ramadan, like during the thing. How did that affect his preparation? All of these various aspects of like, I don't know. Alex looked so bad, sure, but he also looked bad against Khalil. And so 2 of his last 2 fights, he's looked bad. Maybe he's just old, maybe he's fallen off and we're seeing that happen now. With all of that, the fight was still very competitive. I've rewatched it a bunch. I do think Magomed Ankalaev won that fight without question to me. He clearly won 3 rounds. Alex won 2. Fight was really competitive and there's so many things up in the air How will that manifest? Which of those are true? Which of those are real? Kind of want to see all of this. And as I'm thinking about it, I don't have a clue how it's going to go. Genuinely do not know whether Ankalaev wins or Pereira wins. It's total coin flip. As a result, I have a bet on Pereira because you're getting good value in my mind there. What I have come to believe, Mike, and maybe I'm crazy. Tell me if you think I'm crazy. I think this fight is going to be the exact opposite of the first fight because Ankalaev, he's a high on the hog. He's brimming with confidence. He did win mostly a striking battle with Alex in the first fight. It wasn't entirely, obviously, but he landed the better punches in the fight. He won the fight that where 0 takedowns were scored. He is feeling himself. And, you know, fighters get 20% better when they become champion. That's the old adage. He's coming in with a lot of confidence. Alex is coming in both with confidence because he thinks that his last performance was really bad and with the surety that he is not going to go out like that. He is not going to sit there and lose this or even potentially lose this sort of tepid 1-for-1 range second gear kickboxing bout, which the first one was. So I think both men are going to press the issue much more aggressively, and that's going to result in pretty early on just a firefight. Like, okay, I'm not giving ground, you're not giving ground. Let's just toss them and see who falls. And I don't know who's going to fall. That's my issue. I think we're getting a knockout. I think we're getting a knockout in the first 3 rounds. And it's a coin flip because Alex is obviously Alex. He has the boomstick. Ankalaev buzzed him in the first fight. Ankalaev swings a big hammer himself. Ankalaev has never been knocked out. He's been dropped once, I believe, by Thiago Santos. Never been knocked out. Alex obviously has been knocked out. A little more, shop worn than Ankalaev. Whoever lands can put the other dude down, and I think we're getting a knockout in the first 3 rounds. Could be either. Ask the Magic 8 Ball, but I think this fight's going to be sneaky fun. That's my take.
So I think there's a chance that this fight gets finished too, but I actually think it happens later because I actually do believe that this could be a firefight early on. And I think both guys, are smart enough. And I think like with the stakes attached to this and what this fight means and Pereira wanting revenge and all that, the heat between them, I think both guys will be able to battle it out. So I will give away my bet. And if you think this fight could go late or get finished, you should probably tail me because this is the best bet I could find because I'm with you. I don't know how this fight's going to go. I'm going to pick Ankalaev because he's my guy for fantasy, but my bet is Ank Pereira to end in rounds 4, 5, or decision at minus 150.
Okay, we can find ourselves some common ground. I have 2 bets on this fight. I have a Pereira bet because he's plus 230. And again, the first fight was 3-2, and that was it was a really bad Pereira, and he might just be worse now. Ankalaev's bad style, all that could be true. That fight was really close, and you're getting over 2-1 odds on Alex. I'm going to take that value. The one that I am happy with, that even if it's a loser, and it could certainly be, under 4.5, I got it minus 110 yesterday. And I'm just I have talked myself into being certain that this is going to be different than the first time and we're getting a finish. And so under 4.5, if we get a 4th round knockout, we can both cash out and feel good.
The money guns will be shooting in the air. It's always fun in the Heck household after watch parties because 3 weeks later, you might just find a $100 bill just stuck in some crevice in the couch or underneath something.
Money gets around,
It really does. It's pretty funny. This is an interesting question. Mike and Jed, I didn't take Merab saying he wants to fight again in December seriously because I thought the UFC wouldn't go for it, but John Wood says they would. How likely do you think this is? So Merab goes out and let's just say Merab goes out and Merab's Cory, just gets it done. Maybe Cory's a little bit competitive, but Merab clearly wins the fight. There is no main event for December yet. And we were kind of internally running down which champions are available right now and could realistically fight in December. And it seems like right now, the only one is Pants. So you could do Pantoja versus Van. Is that a main event though? I don't know.
Pantoja main evented 2 cards last year. What are you talking?
Well, the May one was because the UFC 300
still did it.
And then what was the other? And then Belal and Shavkat was supposed to be the main event for December. And then Belal got hurt. So Shavkat fought Garry in the co-main event. And then Pants got bumped up to the main. So could
Still
Merab
did it,
turn
bro.
back around in December? Could they do that?
I
Maybe
don't
do
think
Merab
so.
Yan?
I do not believe so.
I don't think so either.
I mean, it could happen. Like, it's possible, right? But I do not believe that is a likely outcome, you know? Just why? There's no need, right? Like, it's the last pay-per-view they're ever doing, or they're doing for the foreseeable future. They don't really care. They don't need it. It's fine to just run Pantoja out there as the main event. You know, you could do, I'm trying to think like what, you could do something else that's juicy. You could do a Max Holloway BMF title fight as the main event or whatever. So, I think that there's no reason. I don't think Merab's team should allow him to do it if he tries to. That's how you fuck up your title reign. That's just it. That's how you fuck up your title reign. Ask Alex Pereira, right? Like, I know that every fighter is supremely confident. He wants to do whatever. If he wins this weekend, he's locked up fighter of the year. It's over. It's done. He is the fighter of the year in 2025. He doesn't need to pursue that if that's a thing he would have been pursuing. And he can just fight again in January or February, right? Like, and get a little more time, because the way you lose the belt is to overextend yourself and lose a fight you probably shouldn't lose. So, I don't think his team would let him, because, you know, the people running him are smart. They're not stupid. But it's fine to say this, right? Like, there's no reason not to throw it out and talk about it, but it won't happen, is my guess.
I just don't know if Petr Yan's going to take this fight on 7 weeks notice.
Here's what,
but it's probably his last chance to fight for the title.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I, honest to God, what I think is more likely to happen, and I don't think this is likely to happen, but just to give you the concept, is something happens to Josh Van and they do a Pants Merab super fight in December. That's more likely than Merab just fights Petr Yan in December.
I love that. I'll take
that would rip.
Thank you to Sleeto. Current KO of the year front runner, and which upcoming 2025 fight is the most potential to overtake it? Love y'all. I mean, it's got to be Ilya, right? Ilya's got to be the front runner at this point, correct?
I believe that's going to end up being our knockout of the year, because it is super violent and it's super meaningful. And that's usually the nexus point of KO of the year, is the aesthetics are great and it is significant, right? Like, if there's not something that hits those marks, then it's just like, what's the coolest shit? There's, you know, the Barboza Terry Edom, famous, like, that wheel kick didn't mean shit, but it was like the first time that it ever happened. So that was really cool. There are a number of cool or arguably better ones, like Ruffy killed Bobby Green with a spinning heel kick. So, you know, that's pretty good. There is a regional one that is a straight up Joaquin Buckley ninja kick that happened on the regional circuit that is going to make my top 5, because it's just awesome. It's just dope as hell, you know? But other than that, I don't see what passes or how really you pass what Ilya's historic significance and violence. But, you know, there are a bunch of other good ones, you know. Lerone Murphy is probably going to be in that top 5.
Yuri knocking out Jamal Hill was a memorable one. Trying to think of some like others.
I'll tell you what, here's one that could happen. And I don't think it's happening, but like, if Cory flying knees Merab's face off, that probably actually passes Charles and Ilya. I would, like, if he straight up sends Merab down with a jump knee or some shit, that will be my KO of the year front runner, almost certainly.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have to come from that fight, or man, a Pereira colds Ankalaev really in any way, shape, or form. Like, I don't know if it beats Ilya, but
it won't beat Ilya, but that'll be in the top 5, right? You know,
because that at least is like an upset win, and
yeah, and it's in the story. He's getting his belt back. It's not going to beat Ilya. The only thing I can see, not the only thing, there are a couple on the horizon. The Cory one, obviously. If Zhang Weili blows the doors off Val, okay, that's one. Similarly, if Makachev just like blows up Jack Della, unlikely, but like if it happens, if he head kicks Jack Della the same way he did Volk, Bob's your uncle, that's your number one. So like there are some that could pass it. It's not insurmountable in the way the max 300 KO. We could have written that award in April. There was never a thing that could have ever happened that would beat it. Because it's probably the greatest KO in the history of the sport, frankly. So it's not that, but it is going to be hard to beat it.
Yeah, because I mean, when you're doing these awards, like impact on the sport and on the promotion has to be a major factor. That's why like Juliana Pena, like tapping Amanda Nunes was not like the best submission of the year.
It was by far the most
but significant. It was by far the most significant and the most impactful because of what it meant. So even though it was like a standard rear naked choke of a tired opponent, she beat Amanda fucking Nunes. Yeah. So that's going to win you the award. Just
seeing some automatically saying that if Jack Della blows up Islam, I don't think that will pass it. Because it depends. Maybe the aesthetics are really cool. You know, if it's a comeback KO. So there are ways that I guess it could. But ultimately, the story at that point would be Ilya moved up and killed an all-time great fighter, an all-time great champion in the weight class. Islam moved up and got killed, and Jack Della just because he's a smaller man, he won't get the same juice that Ilya gets for the Charles fight, even though Charles is older, etc. I actually don't think that would pass unless it's super unique.
Yeah, it's got to get interesting. There's going to be a lot of awards that are going to be pretty interesting. So Buckley got KO the year that year. He had to have, right?
Which year?
With the ninja kick.
Oh, yeah. Almost. I can't imagine he didn't. I don't remember what year that is, but there's, again, that is the way to win the award is you do something incredibly significant or you do something that has never been done. That's it. Those are the two ways to do it. And what year was that? Hold on.
That was 2020.
2020. Yes. Almost unanimous. Looking at the Wikipedia page, us, Bleacher Report, Mania, Cage Side, Sherdog, Weekly, and Bloody Elbow all gave it knockout of the year 2020.
Yep, that was ours.
Just it's one of those you don't have to think about. It's like I've never seen that before ever in my entire life. Give it to him.
I love going back through these. This is my first
year.
They're
the best, especially because like sometimes you're like, wow, you guys got it wrong.
Number 2 that year was Kevin Hall and Jacare. Number 3 was Cody Garbrandt versus Rafael Sunsao.
Oh, that was a mean one.
That was a mean
one. I
one.
don't remember the Hall and Jacare one that well.
That was when Holland was like on his back.
Oh, on his back, like with the heel hooked behind his head, and then okay, that's also super weird. And so yeah, cool. Yeah. I respect that. Yeah.
Number 4 was Sean O'Malley knocking out Eddie Wineland.
Solid KO.
That was a nasty one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And number
definitively
5,
below those 3. I like that ranking.
Number 5, MMA Fighting's 2020 Breakout Fighter of the Year, the moment that changed that award forever. Khamzat Chimaev knocking out Gerald Meerschaert.
Yeah. Yeah, that tracks.
In 16 seconds. So there you go. His 3rd win of 2020. Let me see if we got anything else real quick, and then we'll get on out of here because we got a million things going on.
A little bit.
Yeah. I think we're good. I think we've done enough. We will have a preview show tomorrow to get you ready for UFC 320. It'll be myself and AK. We'll get after it. We will have a People's Pre-Fight show on Saturday, working on a guest to join me for that because there's a million things happening. BKFC will be going on at the same time. So, kind of need some bodies all over the place, covering all sorts of different things. So I'm working on that. Hopefully, perhaps we get a fighter on to join me for the People's Pre-Fight show. Then we get the watch party on Saturday. We'll go live for Atiba Godier's 275-point earning knockout, which will most certainly happen unless something just absolutely bananas is in the air in Las Vegas on Saturday. We'll have BKFC coverage. Jose is in Las Vegas, boots on the ground, all sorts of shit going on there. And then AK and I back on Sunday for a live edition of On to the Next One. So just a very busy time in the world of MMA fighting. And thank you so much. Appreciate all of you joining us for the program. We tapped it all. I am Mike Beck. Make sure your Thursday is pleasant.
Man, I hope in the pod and the YouTube video, this isn't what happens. Because every time you fire up the music, it then sounds like you're underwater. So I don't know if that comes through the pod or
probably will.
The vid, but tough scenes. Also, they still haven't dropped freaking odds on a Taba. I need those odds.
-2500.
Love y'all.
We'll see you.